Hello everyone, our topic is Leading and Trust with Chapter 6. So in this chapter we'll be explaining leadership and its effects, leadership trait theory, behavioral leadership theories, contingency leadership theories, situational supervisory styles, and the 5 dimensions of trust. So leadership, as your text defines it, is the process of influencing employees to work toward the achievement of objectives. There's some other leadership quotes that are listed here I'd invite you to read, and then I've also provided a TED Talk on leadership that I'd like you to view. You can view that on Canvas. It's by Simon Sinek. Now, leadership affects the success of organizations, and organizations look to recruit strong leaders. They invest millions of dollars in leadership training programs every year. And leadership skills can be learned. With respect to your personal life, you want to use caution and persuasion versus manipulation. Influencing is a delicate skill, and the purpose is to create a win-win for yourself and others. Strong leadership skills are needed in today's teamwork-oriented business model. The trend is moving towards participative or shared leadership, producing official and unofficial leaders with mutual influence. Also, degree of participation varies by situation. There's a variety of leadership styles that we'll take a look at, but leadership can make a difference in performance for individuals and organizations and can affect career success. So leadership and management. These two terms are often used synonymously. However, they are related, but they're very different. Management has 5 functions, including planning, organizing, staffing, leading, and controlling, whereas leadership is a function of management. You can be a good manager without being a good leader, and vice versa. Good leadership is often a shared activity in an organization. So what does it take to be a good leader, and what is the best leadership style? There really is no one right answer for that. We can look at some leadership theories that exist. Leadership trait theories assume there are distinctive physical and psychological characteristics that account for effective leadership. Personality traits do affect leadership style, but after more than 50 years of research, we still cannot identify a specific list of traits that all successful leaders have in common. Giselli's study is the most publicized trait theory and identified 6 traits, including supervisory ability, getting the job done through others, need for achievement, seeking responsibility, intelligence, good judgment, reasoning, thinking, decisiveness, solving problems and making decisions, self-assurance, seeing yourself as capable, and initiative, being a self-starter, no need for supervision. Behavioral leadership theories assume that there are distinctive styles that effective leaders use consistently. That is, a good leadership is rooted in behavior. We have 2-dimensional leadership styles, the leadership grid, and also transformational, charismatic, transactional, servant, stewardship, authentic, and LMX styles. 2-dimensional leadership styles. In 1945, Ohio State University did a study to determine effective leadership styles, and their findings included initiating structure and job-centered approach, how much does the leader take charge, consideration and employee-centered, how much does the leader interact with employees, and combinations, which you can find in Exhibit 6.1 of your text. 1 would equal high structure, low consideration. Ranking of 2 would be high structure, high consideration. 3 would be equal to high consideration, low structure. And 4 would be a low consideration, low structure. Leadership grid, based on Blake and Moulton's model of 1964-1991, ideal leadership style has high concern for both the job and the people. They identify 5 major styles. Impoverished manager, where you have a low concern for both job and people, does minimum work to keep his or her job. The sweatshop manager has a high concern for job but low for people, and they use power to coerce people and treat them like machines. The country club manager, who has a high concern for people but low for the job. It's all about being friendly and having good relationships. The organized person manager, who has medium concern for both job and people and runs middle of the road to keep things going well. And then the team manager, who has a high concern for both people and job and looks at participation, commitment, and resolving conflict as top priorities. Transformational, charismatic, transactional, servant, and stewardship styles. Transformational looks about change, innovation, and entrepreneurship. With charismatic, we have extraordinary influence, and we look at also traits including gifted and being heroic. Transactional would include based on the quid pro quo model. In other words, it's a Latin term, this for that. You do something for me and I'll do something for you. Servants and stewardship, these are primary motives here are devotion to the best interests of the organization as opposed to self-serving or being opportunistic. Authentic and leader-member exchange styles. Authentic is learning from others but staying true to yourself. Being a copycat ultimately really does not work. Leader-member exchange, otherwise known as LMX, looks at creating positive manager-subordinate relationships and to be a leader that employees feel they can relate to. The focus is on genuine connections with people and also all-inclusive, no in or out groups. Contingency leadership theories assume the appropriate style of leadership varies depending on the situation. There's an attempt to create win-win situations by giving support and direction. Contingency theories include contingency leadership theory, leadership continuum, normative leadership theory, and situational leadership. Contingency leadership theory determines if style is task or relationship oriented, and if it matches the leader's style. If there is no match, then leaders should change the situation rather than the leadership style. Situational favorableness looks at leader-member relations. Are they good or poor? Better relations equals more favorable situations. Also the task structure. More structure equals more favorable situations. And position power. Is it strong or weak? More power would equal more favorable situation. In determining appropriate leadership style, you can take a look at Exhibit 6.3 in your textbook. It uses 3 questions about situational favorableness and follows a decision tree for determining appropriate style. Leadership continuum. Tannenbaum and Schmidt identified 7 leadership styles based on the use of boss-centered versus employee-centered leadership. Before selecting one of the 7 leadership styles, 3 factors need to be considered. The manager, preferred style based on experience and confidence in employees and subordinates. The subordinates, preferred style for the leader. Generally, the more willing and able they are, the more freedom they should be given. And the situation. What is the organization's structure, size, goals, technology, and what are upper-level managers' leadership styles? Normative leadership theory looks at Vroom and Yetton. The decision tree method was developed to choose from 5 leadership styles depending which is best for the situation, and it was adapted from previous models. You can take a look at Exhibit 6.4 in your textbook. 5 leadership styles include decide, consult individually, consult group, facilitate, and delegate. Decide, the leader decides alone. Consult individually, the leader talks to employees separately to get input, but still makes the decision. Consult group, talks to a group of employees for input, but still makes the decision. Facilitate, a group meeting would take place and employees share in the decision. And then delegate, the group would make the decision. Situational leadership, we have Hershey and Blanchard, the researchers. It's a model to select from 4 leadership styles that match the maturity level of the employee in any given situation. You can take a look at Exhibit 6.1. The lower right quadrant would equal telling. upper right quadrant, selling, upper left quadrant, participating, and lower left quadrant, delegating. So looking at your preferred supervisory style, you can take a self-assessment exercise 6-2. The more evenly distributed the numbers, the more flexible your style. But there is no one right leadership style. Just want to help understand the way you prefer to use. Now we look at defining the situation. Since no one style is best, how do you know when to use which style? Supervisory employee interactions have two categories: directive behavior, where the focus is on getting the job done, and supportive behavior, where the focus is on encouraging and motivating employees. The situation is determined by the capability of the employee, the ability, what level of education, experience, and skills they have, and motivation, how much do they want to do the job? Will they need support and encouragement, or will they need to do it on their own? Levels of employee capability include low, where the person would need lots of direction and supervision and lack motivation. Moderate, needs some supervision, and may have high motivation but still need direction, support, and encouragement. High, where you have high in ability but lack confidence and needs lots of support and encouragement to get motivated. And outstanding, got all the knowledge and are highly motivated on their own. Styles include autocratic, where the person would give direct instructions, close supervision, and not consult employee about decisions. Consultative, giving directions but may include employee indecisions, and the boss still has final word. Participative, giving generalized directions but does not closely supervise, giving support and encouragement and allowing input from the employee, the boss still has the final say. And then laissez-faire, where the boss or supervisor would spend little or no time supervising or directing. Here's the job, go do it. Kind of a hands-off approach. Diversity and global leadership. So we are growing more global every day. Most leadership theories originate in the United States. Our cultural beliefs and values may not be as effective in other countries, however. Cultural sensitivity is vital to operations outside one's own country. E-organizations operate a little differently. Leaders focus on speed, flexibility, and vision, more written and less face-to-face communication. And the virtual team uses technology to communicate. Cultural differences in styles. Leadership styles are not a one-size-fits-all approach. Situations also vary according to cultures. Korean leaders are expected to act as father figures to employees. Arab leaders are viewed as weak if they show kindness or generosity. Japanese leaders are expected to be humble and not speak much. Scandinavian and Dutch leaders embarrass employees publicly rather than motivate with individual praise. Trust. In business and life in general, trust is an absolute essential. It's the positive expectations that another will not take advantage of you. It should not be given, but instead earned. And it takes time to develop true trust. Types or levels of trust include deterrence-based, which is based on fear, and it's the most fragile since one violation or inconsistency can destroy the relationship. Knowledge-based. Knowledge-based are most common in organizations. Knowledge lets us predict behavior. The better we know someone, the more we can predict their actions. And it's not destroyed by a singular inconsistency. It allows for forgiveness and moving forward. Everyone makes mistakes, and forgiveness is vital to good relationships. Identification-based, we have emotional connections and friendships. This is the highest level of trust that would exist. You also have gender differences. Men state their expectations while women trust others will anticipate them. Developing trust through integrity, competence, consistency, loyalty, openness, and we also have the risk of destroying trust. Integrity includes telling the truth. The fine line between truth and lying is called tactfulness. Keep your commitments. Promises made are promises kept. And of course, be fair. Fairness establishes credibility. Integrity and fairness are core to good business and relationships. Competence, be conscientious. Do you trust someone who does bad work? Know your strengths and limitations. Don't commit to doing something that you won't be able to deliver. And admit your mistakes. If you are a quote-unquote know-it-all, people tend not to trust you. We don't trust or even like people that have to be right all the time. Consistency. Keep commitments. This is a repeat because it's very important. Do what you say you're going to do. And practice what you preach. If you talk the talk, then you must walk the walk. The old saying, do as I say, not as I do, will not fly. Loyalty. Invest heavily in loyalty. If you display loyalty, it will usually be reciprocated. No one trusts someone who's only taking care of the number one person, which would be you. Maintain confidences. Don't repeat things told to you in confidence. No one trusts a backstabber or someone who talks about everything that they've heard. And don't gossip negatively about other people. If you talk about others in a negative way, people assume you'll be doing the same about them as soon as their backs are turned. Openness. The Johari window, and there's an exhibit on 6.8 in your textbook. It's based on self-understanding. We chose what is appropriate to share with others. Disclosure is a gradual and mutual process based on trust. The risk of self-disclosure. Everyone is vulnerable in some way, but the rewards of letting yourself be known to others are worth the risk. Repairing trust. Trust is earned and builds over time. It's easier to destroy than to build. Once trust is broken, relationships may be mended, but they're never the same again. Admit mistakes and apologize. Women generally are more willing to apologize than men are. We find it easier to apologize to strangers than loved ones, ironically. People get very emotional when they feel their trust has been betrayed, so stay calm.